Welcome to Across Africa, France 24's weekly roundup from across the continent. Coming up this week, a Kenyan hospital offers a lifeline to hundreds of Ugandan cancer patients who face uncertainty after their country's only radiotherapy machine broke down. It's been out of action since earlier this month, and the government's been accused of neglecting the healthcare system. Also, the Congolese government's tried to shore up the franc after it began to slide against the dollar, but the moves haven't gone far enough to stop traders and customers from struggling with rising prices of household staples. And already threatened by poaching, the thousands of elephants living in Kenya's Tsavo park now face the disruption that comes with a transport upgrade. A new high-speed rail line cuts right through their home, and conservationists are worried about the possible consequences. Well, first, a Kenyan hospital has promised to treat 400 Ugandan cancer patients for free after their country's only radiotherapy machine broke down. Kampala's already said that it will send some patients to Kenya for treatment, but with thousands facing uncertainty about their medical care, the emergencies raised criticism about Uganda's underfunded health system.
Bronia was diagnosed with cervical cancer last year. With help from a charitable hospice organisation, she travelled 300 kilometres to Kampala for treatment using Uganda's only radiotherapy machine. With therapy, she had a good chance of survival. But after waiting for more than 3 weeks, she's been told to go back to her hometown. The machine she was counting on has broken down beyond repair.
I felt pain because I thought that if it works, we are going to be okay and we get to recover. It has pained me because I have not yet produced any children. Even I've got loss of weight, bleeding every time.
The radiotherapy machine was a lifeline when it was donated to Uganda 21 years ago. Every year it offered around 30,000 life-saving treatments and gave patients relief from unbearable pain. But it had already broken down several times, and though the government paid €325,000 for a new machine 3 years ago, the bunker for housing it has never been built. Even with the extra funding needed, getting the new machine in place will take time.
If they can even work 24 hours, within 6 months we should have the bunker ready. Yeah, so that means the next half of the year we should be installing the equipment and testing it. So by 1 year it should be up and running.
The government has tried to play down the impact of the breakdown, but for many a year may be too long. And there are accusations that this crisis in cancer care is symptomatic of a wider lack of investment in what's already an ailing health system. Patients are now being advised to go to neighbouring Kenya for radiotherapy, but many can't afford such an expensive trip. For Bronia, the only option is to go home and wait.
Well, after years of staying relatively stable against the dollar, the Congolese franc has started to slide. Currency dealers say that the decline began late last year, and traders and customers are struggling with the effect that that's had on the cost of staples.
Prices for food on this market of Kinshasa have nearly doubled in the last couple of months. Shop owners say they're finding it hard to find takers.
The price of fish from the wholesalers used to be between 15 and 17,000 francs. Now it's 24,500. We don't understand anything. How can we resell this to the public?
The soaring prices are linked to the local currency, the Congolese franc, which has slipped against the dollar after several years of stability at around 930 Congolese franc to the dollar. The Democratic Republic of Congo relies heavily on imported commodities, so changes in exchange rates have a direct impact on consumer prices.
We're finding it hard right now because the dollar is offered at a rate of 9.99 francs. So you can't sell your goods, and meanwhile, inflation continues and it disturbs us greatly.
The Congolese economy is also heavily dependent on the export of copper and cobalt. But recently, demand has been hurt by falling prices of commodities as well as slump in oil prices. In this highly dollarized economy, authorities are now struggling to increase reserves of foreign currency. Alongside the Congolese franc, other emerging market currencies, such as those of Turkey, Russia, Malaysia, and Brazil, have also recently plunged. And the uncertainty surrounding China's economic growth could send them even lower, especially as growth estimates and commodity prices continue to fall.
Staying in South Africa, the government's taken measures to discourage people from binging on soft drinks and is planning to bring in a new tax on sugary beverages next year. Drinks manufacturers are firmly against the idea, but supporters of the move say that it could go a long way towards helping curb the country's obesity epidemic.
South African soda lovers will have to brace themselves financially, as a new sugar tax is set to hit their favorite drinks next year. Though numbers have not yet been set, supporters are proposing a steep 20% levy, and consumers such as security guard Thomas Itole aren't happy about it. He relies on sugar-filled energy drinks to keep him awake through his long shifts.
It means I'll have to limit, and then this thing is going to affect my work opportunities. The way the boss need, they know me, I'm active. So now they'll see, Thomas is going lower, and then it will not be good.
Many feel the same way and don't think the government's tax will achieve its goal of improving the health of its citizens. According to World Health Organization, 1 in 4 South Africans is obese. Advocates of the new tax believe it will help curb the risks associated with obesity.
I think people need to realize that there are more people dying from obesity than from any other disease in the world. You will die from it prematurely. It's as simple as that.
South Africa is the latest in a wave of countries to introduce the tax. Mexico imposed their sugar tax in 2014, while the UK is set to follow in 2018. But the beverage industry is coming out to fight the idea.
There definitely will be job losses. And certainly the small business owners are going to be extremely impacted. You can imagine your small business owners in the townships who rely on beverages categories for their income. And this tax is just going to hit them very hard.
While the tax is expected to come into effect next year, its success is not guaranteed. Higher taxes stamped on cigarettes and alcohol already are doing little to encourage a curb in consumption.
A new e-payment system has launched in Ethiopia in a bid to bring more people into the banking system. Now, the country is low on cash machines and bank branches, but now customers can use their mobile phones to access their money.
It's one of Africa's fastest growing economies, and now Ethiopia is banking on mobile money to boost further financial growth. The electronic phone payment service M-Beer is bidding to bring millions into the banking system, allowing transfers at the touch of a button.
This new technology is a huge time saver, and people no longer need to carry cash in their pockets. However, this requires a communication campaign and explanation of the system.
Ethiopia has experienced 10% growth annually for the past decade, but the banking system is hugely underdeveloped, with only 1 in 5 people holding a bank account, well short of the government target of 4 in 5 by 2020. Mobile money could make the difference, and it's already winning people over.
M-Beer is perfect for our work. It makes life more simple and more safe. I prefer to use this service instead of making cash transactions, and it's more reliable.
The service cuts out the kind of bureaucracy that has seen customers waste time and money waiting for requests to be processed. A simple text message is enough to send money to a relative or pay a bill.
The service is easily accessible. You can find it anywhere at any time. This is much more convenient than banks, which are in specific locations and have specific opening hours. I'm really happy with this service.
Kenya's mobile money system already has 18 million users. M-Beer has just 150,000. And the development of the Ethiopian banking sector still faces challenges in what is a tightly controlled economy. But change of the cashless kind is coming.
The thousands of elephants living in Tsavo National Park in Kenya already face the threat of poaching, but progress is also adding to their problems. A new high-speed railway is set to make human lives easier, but cuts right through the animals' habitat.
On a mission, not to kill, but to conserve. The high-powered rifle is loaded with tranquilizer darts. The aim, to fit 10 elephants with satellite tracking collars. Once the animal falls asleep, a ground crew rushes in, with just 20 minutes to fit the collar and carry out tests.
We take blood samples to monitor, for example, diseases. Also, we take tissue samples for genetics analysis. We measure the body parts to see the growth rate in elephants, and also to compare with other areas with a similar habitat.
The 12,000 elephants living in Kenya's Tsavo National Park have long been victims of poaching. But conservationists fear the new 300-mile high-speed railway linking Nairobi to Mombasa will also threaten their movement.
The main objective of this exercise is to try and quantify how development, and more so the standard gauge railway, is affecting elephant distribution.
The rail line cuts the national park in two, and the team from the Kenyan Wildlife Service and conservation group Save the Elephants will use the radio collars to monitor elephants' use of various crossing points along the track.
We've managed to get a few elephant crossings put in, so underpasses that elephants can use, which is great news. On its own, that could ensure the connectivity of this landscape. Unfortunately, the next phase of this infrastructure development is a 6-lane highway.
So understanding how the railway impacts the animals here is crucial. It's hoped that tracking the elephants could help ensure economic growth doesn't come with wildlife as its biggest cost.
Well, that's it for Across Africa this week. Thanks very much for joining us, and please do so again if you can. Take care.